So, you're a beginner and you just hopped into the crime-infested city that is Los Santos, and you're running around like a headless chicken because you have no clue which business to buy or what car is the best for heists, and the game doesn't really tell you anything either. Your fellow players are murderous savages, blowing up everything in sight with their fancy flying cars while you're still rolling around in that rust bucket that you got from Lamar in the tutorial. You have no money in your bank account and you have a bunch of messages from all these NPCs asking you to visit them. Who do you listen to? What do you buy? Well, if you clicked on this video, you're probably looking for answers to those questions, and I'm about to reveal which items a beginner should buy in GTA Online, and I'll also give you a rough idea of the order in which you should buy them, because telling a newbie to own a $2.2 million submarine so that they can do Cayo Perico means absolutely nothing when that person has $10,000 in their bank account. Not only is it important to know which items are worth purchasing, but also the order in which you get them. The very first thing you need to do is head on over to Dax so you can begin the first dose missions. These are unlocked once you get a phone call from Ron asking you to visit Ace Liquor in Sandy Shores, where you walk in on the Fooligans who are having a fun little wrestling match with Ron, getting the absolute crap kicked out of him. The leader, Dax, is about to give you some work when a bunch of lost MC guys show up and steal his RV. Once you bring it back, you guys set up shop in an abandoned warehouse near the Mirror Park rail yard, and from there on, it will be called the Freak Shop. It also comes with a free Mark II weapons workshop, which is a great upgrade to your weapons early on if you don't have the cash for a proper Mark II armory. But the real reason you want to do the first dose missions, of which there are 6, is so you can unlock one of the best sources of passive income in the entire game, the Acid Lab. This is basically the Walter White meth RV, but bigger, with a lot more armor, and a really mean wedge up front that's basically a giant block of steel that flips NPC vehicles out of your way as you drive through traffic at 60 miles an hour like a drugged up lunatic. It's really fun to drive, and once you install the Acid Lab equipment in the back for $750,000, it's also going to start making you money. You get your own assistant and cook who goes by the name of Mutt, and he'll resupply your business with a simple phone call, so you don't even have to visit it physically like you have to do with a lot of other businesses in the game. But before you do any acid production, you need the upgrades, without which your output isn't really going to be worth it or very time efficient. Before the upgrades, you make about $40,000 an hour, but with the upgrades, your product capacity increases while your production time simultaneously decreases with it, bringing your profit per hour up to $87,000. And that's before the boost, which further speeds up production time even further, allowing you to make over $100,000 an hour. If you name your product, you'll get another 5% on top of that, and if you sell in a fully packed public lobby, it's another 50% on top of that for the high demand bonus. You always get one cell vehicle, which is a dirt bike, which makes cell missions very solo friendly, and you can summon your Brigade 6x6 like a personal vehicle from the interaction menu so your business comes to you instead of the other way around. Overall, the Acid Lab is an S tier business, so definitely grab it first. Just make sure you do all the first and last dose missions, as you get around $800,000 total for doing all 11, which will be enough to install the Acid Lab equipment and then do 10 Fooligans missions for Dax. These pay out $50,000 each on a 48-minute cooldown, and you unlock the Acid Lab equipment upgrade once you complete at least 10 of them. The best part about the whole Drug Wars DLC is that you don't actually have to pay for anything out of your own pocket. The missions that you do will generate more than enough money for all the Acid Lab equipment. You get that Brigade 6x6 for free, plus you also get a free $3 million electric hypercar, the Ocelot Virtue, at the end of the Last Dose storyline. So there is absolutely no reason not to do this whole quest line as soon as you start your criminal career in GTA Online. Once you have your Acid Lab, you're going to need some money to maintain resupplies. You'll also need some money for guns. I recommend doing the Cluck and Bell farm raid. It's free and takes about an hour for a $500,000 payout, but you can get that time down to 45 minutes easily. And once you have your cash, head on over to the local ammunition and grab yourself these 5 weapons: an AP pistol, a special carbine, a combat MG, an assault shotgun, as well as a heavy sniper. An AP pistol for shooting out of cars, special carbine for mid-range engagements, combat MG for general havoc against large groups of enemies, assault shotgun for when you need to get up close and personal, as well as the heavy sniper for taking out targets from a distance. Of course, some of these unlock later through the ranks, but still, overall, I'd say any time before level 120 is a perfect time to purchase any of these weapons. And with your Mark II weapons bench at the Freak Shop, you can also attach all sorts of modifications like foregrips, scopes, suppressors, muzzle brakes, extended mags, lights, etc. But don't go too crazy because you're still new and you probably don't have that much cash anyways. So I'd recommend, of course, sticking with the Mark weapons for a while. Also, one, because you need the bunker to access the research for some Mark II weapon upgrades, and the only real mod that you need is the extended mags and suppressors on certain weapons, and that's it. You should also definitely look into a homing launcher as well as the RPG, but those won't unlock until after rank 100. And grab yourself a few sticky bombs too, because you never know when you need to blow up some vehicles. And while you're at the ammunition, don't forget to buy some heavy armor. You're definitely going to need it in firefights. Next, you need an armored vehicle. You could spend $700,000 on that old faithful armored Kuruma, or you could head to Warstock Cash and Carry and grab yourself a Duke of Death for absolutely free. One of the front windows on the Duke of Death can be penetrated from the side angles, but you don't have to worry about that because it's a really small hitbox. Plus, you'll be moving most of the time, so enemies can't really lock onto you through that window, especially the NPCs. And the Duke also has more explosive resistance compared to the Kuruma that everyone raves about. It's faster in a straight line, and it can equip Imani Tech upgrades now like the missile lock-on jammer. So if you have a crew of 3 to 4 players, then the Kuruma is probably going to be better because it could seat 4, but in almost every other situation, or especially if you're a solo player, the Duke of Death wins out 100% of the time. It costs nothing, and that's why it's ideal for absolute brand new players. After you have your acid lab, starter weapons, as well as an armored vehicle, it's time to get an agency. If you don't already have a CEO office or apartment, you should buy one of these first, because you need parking space as well as a really nice centrally located spawn point. Plus, you can't really do jobs unless you register as a CEO or MC president anyway. The agency costs just over $2 million, and the best one a beginner can buy is in Little Seoul. It doesn't come with an armory, the Imani Tech workshop, or personal quarters, but you can install all of those options later once you have the cash. For now, just use the agency as a way to generate money through security contracts, payphone hits, as well as the Dr. Dre VIP contract, which pays out $1.1 million for just about 1.5 to 2 hours of work. Once you install a personal quarters and the armory in your agency though, set it as your spawn point so you can always load up on snacks and armor before you begin any kind of heist or contact mission. With the agency now secured, you're going to need to invest in a few more sources of passive income for your character. I definitely recommend the Nightclub as well as the Bunker. The Nightclub because it's got a higher payout and easier sell missions, and the Bunker because it has additional perks like unlocking upgrades for your small arms as well as weaponized vehicles. With the Nightclub, you can make over $100,000 an hour very reliably as long as you maintain 90 to 100% popularity and you have all 5 warehouse technicians assigned in that warehouse section. This will take a while if you're a beginner because you probably don't have 5 businesses to assign tech to, and in that case, you should probably put the Nightclub on hold until after you have a bunker, as well as a few MC businesses, maybe a hangar or large cargo warehouses as well. But as for the bunker, there are no prerequisites here. Just make sure you get one that's in a solid location, not too far up north in the Paleto Forest, because that's just a pain to travel back and forth to every time you want to do a sell mission or resupply. Instead, just save up some extra cash and get the Chumash or even the farmhouse location. I prefer the farmhouse location. With your bunker purchased, grab the equipment as well as the staff upgrades. Then, at the start, assign all personnel to manufacturing. You don't need to care about research right now, just make as much money as you can through manufacturing. You could sell a quarter bar of stock, half a bar, or even a full bunker worth of product, but I recommend just resupplying your business once for $75,000, and then when that's done, you could sell that product for $210,000 as long as you're selling long distance, and that will ensure you'll only get one delivery vehicle for that sell. Once you've generated a few $100,000 with your bunker, grab yourself a motorcycle clubhouse. Now, this is the first step to becoming an MC president and owning MC businesses. Unfortunately, you simply cannot do any of it without a clubhouse. Again, location matters, so get the one in downtown Vinewood or Hawick if you want a centrally placed clubhouse that will also make it easier to travel to between your biker businesses, agency, or even the nightclub. If you get the Great Chaparral clubhouse out in Sandy Shores, it is going to be a lot cheaper, but traveling will take you longer until you buy your first flying vehicle, so I don't really recommend it. A high-end apartment is also worth considering at this point because it's going to unlock the 5 OG heists while also giving you a nice spawn location and enough garage space for up to 10 vehicles of your own. The agency can hold up to 19 vehicles across 3 different floors, so you shouldn't be hurting for garage space at this stage, but it's still a nice change of pace from the regular content to play the OG heists every once in a while, even though you don't really find a lot of people queuing up for those setups anymore. And now it's time to finally purchase the Kasatka and unlock the most profitable money-making method in the entire game, the legendary Cayo Perico heist that you've probably heard of. You'll need to pay the $2.2 million up front as well as a setup fee for $100,000 every time you want to do the Cayo heist, but you make about $1 million on average for only 1 hour of gameplay, so it's more than worth it. Within just 2 heists, you'll have already made back your initial investment on the sub, and with 2 more, you'll have enough cash to purchase the Sparrow helicopter for your Kasatka's moon pool. With the Sparrow, heist prep becomes a lot faster, as it's one of the fastest helicopters in the entire game, beaten only by the Kanata as well as by fast jets. You can even summon the Sparrow as a personal vehicle of your own right next to you, turning it into a general purpose vehicle for traveling around the map and resupplying your businesses. If I'm not using the Oppressor Mark II to get around, I'm using the Sparrow. The Salvage Yard is going to be the 10th and final item on my list, and while it's not the most spectacular in terms of money making, it's very easy to maintain and the jobs are quite simple. You have your basic tow truck missions to make you anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 depending on the type of vehicle you bring in, and with staff upgrades and a second lift, you can take 2 vehicles apart in 48 minutes for $80,000 to $120,000 in profits, which is not that bad at all. And it's also one of the few businesses in the game that will even work while you're offline. Not the whole Salvage Yard, but basically the tow truck section, so your mechanics will continue to take apart the vehicles that you brought in, even if you've logged out and exited the game. You also have an office safe that accumulates daily cash depending on how many tow truck missions you do, similar to the one in the agency or the nightclub. And then finally, there are vehicle robberies that are essentially mini vehicle heists. You get 3 options each week, and the payout for these is anywhere between $250,000 to $400,000, and the missions take about 25 to 40 minutes each. In the end, you get your cash reward by selling the stolen vehicle, and occasionally you also get the option to keep one of these stolen vehicles for yourself, and this can be really nice for new players since some of the vehicles are quite expensive at over $1 million purchase price, and so occasionally you might get a really nice supercar through your Salvage Yard missions practically for free, but honestly, Rockstar doesn't offer them all that much, but it is a nice benefit and perk right there. And there you have it, guys, my top 10 purchases for beginners in GTA Online. Remember, this is my list and these are my thoughts, so swap out any items that you don't like with something that you want, if you prefer, and maybe you like tinkering around with vehicles and racing, and so with that case, you could swap out the Salvage Yard for an auto shop, maybe get the Garment Factory to do the FIB files, whatever you want. I think for beginners, there are plenty of ways to take it from here, so I'm just going to give you a few nice options for when you're completely new to the game and you don't know where to go or what to buy. But with that said, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on all things GTA Online and Rockstar Games. For even more content and to chat with me live, catch my live streams over on twitch.tv/hazardoushdtv. I'm live throughout the week and it's the best place to hang out and ask questions in real time. You can also follow me everywhere else at hazardoushdtv. Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram links are all going to be in my description box down below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next GTA 5 online video. Adios, amigos.